Hey, welcome, my little Tattle Tells. How are you guys doing? Listen, we just got through part three of the reunion for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. If you guys are new to this is Recaps and Rants. Me, Mel C, and not paid by anyone, aka Miriam. We do a deep dive into each episode. And listen, we talk, we drag, we laugh, but also if we can't do armchair psychiatry from the comfort of our home, what are we really doing? All right, so that's what we're doing. Yes, we are psychoanalyzing parasocial relationships. No, we never met people, but you know what? A lot of people never met their favorite sports players and they still have things to say. So let's get into this. Let's say hi to everyone. There's going to be timestamps if you're new and you don't want to stay through the chit chat. Hey, New York 1206, Red Lily Hepsler, what's up? PR Pro Pam. Hey, Kyra. Hey, Benicia. Hey, Kalina. Hey, Minerva. What's up? What's up? What's up, everyone? Okay, y'all, let's get right into this episode. Hey, Lorinda, what's going on? You guys, where do we start? Let me tell you how we're going to go. We're going to run through the episode really quickly for those of you guys that are either overseas or East Coast. Hey, Pinky Love. Hey, Minky Finky. I know I'm not Minky Finky. I know Minky Finky. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it right. You know I'm not. Hey, Dominique. Hey, Noone. What's going on? So listen, let me get into this episode. Listen, we're going to go in order. First, we start, well, not in order, but I'm going to point out the things, and then we're going to get everybody's opinion on it. Okay, well, Kyle and Kathy. Kyle does her favorite, right? Does her favorite fake crying act. Her voice sounds like she's crying for, her voice sounds like she's crying for a good. Hold on, Miriam's getting situated. Let me take her off while she's getting situated. She'll be situated really soon. So her voice is cracking. It sounds like she's crying, but then you look at her face and there's not one tear there. They asked who was the person that actually got them together. Kathy says she reached out, interestingly enough, even though from what I've heard of the situation, Kyle's the one that should have reached out because they found out because Mauricia stole Kathy's husband's clients at the agency, right? Mauricio stole Kathy's client's husbands at the agency, which is a real estate. What was okay? Let me slow down. Kathy's husband had a real estate firm. Mauricio started a real estate firm. He learned from Kathy's husband, stole all the clients, then started his own real estate firm. And that's how Kyle and Mauricio actually made a come up. Kyle also threw Kim under the bus. She did a lot of things. I would have thought that at least they would have both reached out, but apparently Kathy was the one that reached out, right? Kathy did say something interesting where she was like, the thing is sometimes when you tell people the truth, they don't like it. And then Kyle was like, with her dry eyes, well, I think we both couldn't handle the truth. Again, I was looking like, girl, don't you know to put Visine or keep onion spray or something or throw some hot sauce in your eyes so you can actually start crying, right? Now, Andy had his fest because Andy loves hearing that Real Housewives somehow saved somebody's life, rescued them out of the poorhouse, or brought a family together. I guess this is to appease the soul because Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Real Housewives series does nothing but rip families apart. So he was just salivating when Kathy's like, yeah, I think this did bring us to closer because all you do was work on this, Kyle. So now that I'm with you at work, we can hang out, right? They also do a weird. I didn't know that Garcelle was beefing with her sister. She forgot her youngest sister's name, but you find out that they've been beefing. So I guess it was a Freudian slip, right? But she did show big Sag energy because when a Sag is mad at you, you are dead to them. They will forget you exist because in a Sag's mind, when they're mad at you, they have to pretend like you don't exist because they really feel like both of us cannot walk the earth at the same time. My enemy cannot exist on this earth and me sleep and have peace, right? When a Sag is mad at you, they literally go to sleep being like, your sleep belongs to me. But anyway, if anybody's ever had a Sag mad at them, you know the way it does. Then we do a love fest for Crystal. I thought it was interesting that Crystal got her own love fest, and it was the biggest montage. they go into the door thing, how Crystal felt violated. Sutton's face was like my face, like, girl, stop. Crystal did come close to admitting what the problem was. She said it was cumulative. She felt like Sutton had been disrespecting her and coming for her with the ugly pants, with this, with that, the whole I don't see color thing. And it accumulated. So by the time Sutton walked through that door, she had had enough of Sutton. All right, Crystal, fair enough, right? Then they make a good point that Kathy said she doesn't see color, right? And Crystal said an interesting thing. She said, well, the tone was different. And I said, why? And Garcelle looked at her because I thought the same thing. The tone wasn't different. The difference was one was talking to Garcelle and sharing her feelings, and the other one was your feelings. The only thing different is you were involved in one case and you could see that side. But when it was Garcelle, which I've actually found through the season, not saying she throws Garcelle under the bus, but she never backs Garcelle up, and she acts like she doesn't know what Garcelle's talking about, even though she's sitting there crying on the couch. And I'm not mocking her for crying because it obviously deeply hurt her, but you can feel the pain when it involves you. But with Garcelle, you're sitting there like, well, I don't feel like there's any problem, right? Listen, I did think that Lisa was literally rubbing in Garcelle's face how she can be caring and sensitive by being caring and sensitive to Crystal, because we all know from what we've seen to Lisa Rinna to Harry Hamlin dressing up as a stormtrooper for Halloween's in the past, right? That she's not very racially sensitive, right? Andy got what I thought it was weird that Andy was giving Crystal a pat on the head when he was like, well, just to let you know, you're a very valuable member and we loved learning about your culture and we think it's beautiful. Had that been me, I would have been sitting there like, shut up. I don't need any Scooby snacks. Like, get out of here, right? I did think it's interesting that Crystal said she's getting hundreds of hate messages even now. And I said, has Crystal never heard of block words? Because I got a list of block words on my YouTube. So I had to take down the block words. Like, okay, hold on. Somebody calling me a dum-dum does not deserve them being blocked. Somebody calling me a dummy, dumbass dum-dum. Okay, now you're blocked, right? Also, I thought it was weird, but not weird, but it's indicative of the way Bravo handles anything dealing with this. And Crystal was savvy in the way she handled it. They never want to take a look inward. They never want to take a look to see, and I'm talking about the network, what they can do better or how they can protect their talent better. They just want everyone to say, it was horrible. What Crystal said, it was horrible. I don't blame you guys. You guys have been the best and made me feel welcome. And thank you so much for that. And everybody was happy to move past it. And to me, this is indicative of the way Bravo works whenever they're whenever they're dealing with someone that is not the status quo for rich, not, and like whatever, right? I'm doing this so for the YouTube, right? For the YouTube algorithm, but you guys get what I'm saying. Crystal handled it the way Bravo wants it to handle. They want it to go away. They don't want to have to talk about it. They don't want to have to take accountability, and they don't want to have to change anything in the way they do. They just want to know, yeah, it was hard, but you guys were great, and that's just the world is, and thank you for this opportunity. But Crystal played Andy like a thing. We're about to, okay, so let me get through this, right? He did ask Dorit if she pays retail for her clothes. Dorit said, no, I pay for every piece. And he was like, did you get a discount? And she was like, no. And I said, Dorit, stop lying. Like, the fact that you said you didn't get a discount lets me know that you're buying shit and return it. That's why you pay full price retail, because when you pay full price, you can return it. When you get those discounts, they usually don't let you return, right? Now, right? Let's get into Erika, right? But before we get into Erika, let's let Miriam. What, Miriam?
Leave Erika to me.
Okay, before we get into Erika, let's get Mel's take and then we'll get Miriam's take on what did you guys think of up to this far. We're only talking about Kyle and Kathy and Crystal. What were you guys' takeaway of that? And then we're going to get into the elephant in the room, which is Erika Girardi, right? I was about to say Erika De Niro. Shout out to the diva, Erika De Niro. You guys should follow her channel if you guys don't. And also, before we start, Mel NYC Reviews has started a TikTok. Ooh, I know he didn't want me to say anything, but I'm following him. If he wants to shout it out, he can do you guys, and you guys can follow him because his content is going to be really, really good. Sorry, Mel. I just had to put that out there. Okay, so Mel, what was your takeaway?
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So my takeaway about, oh my gosh, about the show itself, or just Erica, or what do you?
So right now we're talking about just your takeaway for Kyle, Kathy, and then Crystal, and then we'll get into the elephant in the room, Erika. So what was your takeaway?
Okay, so with Kyle and Kathy. Oh, okay. So yeah, I was right here because I was
Of
trying to
course.
think about all this stuff. So yeah, okay. So what I brought up here was that I was just it was funny to me that all the years that Cal has been on the show, she has never ever, as I can remember, apologized to her family on camera, especially to her sisters, um, without them sort of apologizing equally or whatever. She never took responsibility. So when he asked her a straight up question about, you know, did you think that the picture, making a picture about your mother or whatever, did you cause a problem? She said right away, no, I didn't cause problems. She said the same to business dealings. So I always thought it was crazy that there was, definite ways that she was hurting people and that she was definitely, riling them up, and she never stopped what she was doing. Basically, she sort of was like, single-minded. Um,
Mm,
yeah, and I was just thinking too. I'm looking at my notes here again. I was just thinking also that I'm not rich, just a working class, kind of person. But if my brother or my family, anybody decide to make a move at my mother, who's gone,
mm.
I probably would feel a certain way too. I mean, it would just be a thing about me needing to know exactly what's going to be in the film. Again, I'm not, on the level of these people, but it definitely would also, I don't think you have to be, um, Kathy Hilton to feel a certain way about somebody making a picture about your mother without your participation about it. So I think that it was sort of, just classic Kyle, just sort of feel like, she didn't have to get approval or participation or, just go right on. So I don't know, just felt like that was a little crazy. I'm glad that we got to see who the lady was. And they said it was Miss Paula or Miss Pola.
Yeah,
Um,
Paula. Yeah.
yeah, and I also like that they asked her, do all the ladies were talking about the gifts they got, and she said, well, Rick and I, we don't really give each other, oh no, we eat on trays. I mean, it was so funny that all the season we saw her eat on those crazy trays. And I can't believe that this her husband must be as kooky as she is, because they also eat on those trays every night too, which I thought was pretty crazy. It was pretty funny.
I don't believe
Um,
it.
y- well, I don't know,
I
but then
do.
okay,
I'll say
yeah.
one thing. I am a product of my, I do realize that the things that give us comfort when we are children, no matter how much money we get or how many much our experience widens, a lot of stuff we're like, forget it. But I related, I mean, not to the box fan and stuff, but I related to the fact of there's things I still do now that I had to do when I was younger that now I just find comforting. I do believe they still eat on trays. It's the same way like when I grew up, there was no dining table. We all sat in front of the TV and we didn't have TV trays and ate. So even now in every place we have, and there's multiples, right? Tell me when the last time the dining room table has been used. It's the damn coffee table, and we are sitting there eating our takeout or eating the food. Even though there are dining rooms and there's this and there's place settings, and I do it for show because it looks nice to have, but I don't care.
But
So I
but
believe
you,
the fact, I
I
believe
was,
that.
I was gonna say,
I
have
don't.
you ever heard of this woman called the Queen of Versailles, or this sort of this
Yeah.
very like big house, and they have all this money and tragedy and things. And I'm even thinking about Grey Gardens too. I think that sometimes people have money or they lose money or whatever, they just very eccentric. So I kind of brought into this eccentric, old fashioned, cheap way of
Mm.
eating food. I just like it just fits with her personality that she can have that house and the staff, but she would eat like maybe a microwave dinner on that thing. It just seemed so, I don't know, because yeah, I don't know, it just seemed
It
pretty
reminds
crazy.
her of her mommy, though. She said
Yeah.
that they ate when they were kids, and she loves her. The thing I can say about Kathy, no matter what, she was super, super close to her mom. Maybe it's trauma bonding, but she super close mom, and I think it reminds her of her childhood when things were simple, where she felt happy, even if it was messed up. So I can relate to that. Even sleeping in a bed with the box fan blowing on her, because it reminds her when they were all snuggled up to their mom, and you're too young to even know things are messed up. You're too young to know anything. You just know that you're chilling in bed with your mom, your sisters are around you, and you're happy as can be. So, I
You
mean,
know,
I get, you know?
yeah, I was going to say I had a couple of points I wanted to make about Crystal. Then I'm going to give it to Miss Miriam and see what she got to say about these two characters.
Hello,
So
Rob.
I know you do this, so I'm going to get right to this real quick. Okay, so I wanted to say, and maybe I just because I was so focused on Erika, or I didn't really catch it as much. But when they was showing the recap of the season, I forgot. Unfortunately, I forgot that Crystal had said that she was bulimic. I don't know why I forgot that part. So that part was really, it stopped me in my tracks. I said, oh my gosh. So I I missed the episode or something. So I said that was very, it was unfortunate. I was so, so sad, and I was happy she was brave enough to admit that.
Yeah.
And it made a connection for me that I like she owned that the whole thing about being validated, she actually owned every bit of it. Said, yes,
Yeah.
because of my past trauma with my body and things, when a woman came into a room that I wasn't comfortable with, yeah, I felt totally validated. Now, was it rational? I don't think so. But was it my truth? Yeah, it was my truth based on my past. I like that. I like that she owned it. I want to say that I think her family's adorable. Her mom, her dad, and I have a crush on her brother. I do. I mean, her brother just listen. Her brother's oh my gosh, I don't know. He's so cute.
Oh,
Okay,
really? Oh, wait, let me Google him. Go on, keep talking. Let me Google.
yes, but please, if you know into, we talk offline. But I think that I think that her brother is adorable.
This is
And then
Crystal's brother.
this is Crystal brother. So now the messy part. This is what and I'm gonna give it to Miriam after I finish this. What was so funny
Take your
was
time. Ooh.
okay. What was so funny was Erika's
This is
reaction, and
Crystal's
this
brother.
yeah.
I
So
have a
he's a pop star. Well, you can't really see it right now yet.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's very cute. He's in, nice look. But anyway, I'm gonna go to it. But anyway, so I'm gonna give this to Miss Miriam after I finish this point. So Erika,
Take your time, Mel. We love hearing you talk. Go on.
okay. Well, so this I'm gonna give.
your
I know
father.
you have to do. So Erika's reaction. Andy said, well, when didn't you give such a hard time to some ladies coming to the show? When didn't you really just sort of fall in love and just sort of, really become a friend with Crystal? When didn't you really like her? Well, she said about the time she told everybody she used to be an escort and she could have been mad. I was like, okay, well, Erika, are you looking for some new work? Do you think that she would give you some tips or something? Because she fell in love with Miss Crystal when she talked about her past as an escort and possible madam. I thought that was hysterical.
I thought so
So
too. Good
yes, I
catch. Good
did.
catch.
Well, I made a lot of notes here, but that's about it. So those are my first thoughts about that. And yes, I also, in general, when it comes to Erika and the microaggressions, the racism she suffered online, I was annoyed slightly. Again, I actually liked her coming up this reunion. I'm going to say it might not be popular. I actually liked her after the
Erika?
reunion. No, not Eric, please. No, not Miss Mary. No, don't give me that. No, I actually liked Crystal and what the reunion. So the only thing I didn't like was that when Garcelle was pulling to the side, I said, girl, listen, I'm African American, you're Asian, there's something going on here. We're not really connecting. Why are we not connecting? She didn't talk about racism on the show. Garcelle didn't say that. But when Erika was just, when Crystal was just sort of, trying to not really engage with that kind of conversation in regards to the Fox 4 or whatever, as a viewer, that annoyed me. When she got off the line, unfortunately, her to have all that kind of crazy, demented hate against her because she's an Asian woman. That's absolutely abominable.
Mhm.
I like you said, it's unfortunate that happened. It's just very, very nasty.
It was. It was.
It's unbelievable. So yeah, that's those are my thoughts. Crystal's a very complicated lady. She has a cute family, a very cute
Mhm.
brother. Listen.
You're
I
like,
need to call
Crystal,
her
come over to dinner and bring your brother.
and bring the brother,
So,
honey. Bring the brother, baby. That's right. But anyway, those are my thoughts about all those people.
all right, Miriam, let's get your thoughts on Kyle, Kathy, Crystal, and then after that, I'm going to tell you guys what happened with Erika, and we're going to get everybody's thoughts.
Okay.
Well, Kyle and Kathy, I feel like there is something disingenuous. And I believe Kathy, when she said she reached out through her daughters, I think there was a need for product placement. She came with a mission of promoting, hashtag promoting. Do I believe she still eats in trays? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't know. I never watched American Woman. I would think if it's portrayed there, then it's true. Because there are some things they should be portrayed in a bio of or inspired by the mother. Kyle, she is extremely calculated. She convinced Kathy to come on the show, so she would do whatever she wants to do and to be more likable because she was horrible with Denise last season. I didn't buy the do you see my
Who's that?
that's Mona Lisa.
What's your cat's name?
Mona Lisa.
Is the
I have
is the
Mona
cat
Lisa.
is the
Oh,
cat
Mona
black?
Lisa.
Is it
Yeah.
black or gray?
No,
Is it
it's not black. I lost my black
We're at
cat.
the Coven. Kenny said
okay?
I'm giving Wiccan vibes tonight. We're at Coven. We even
Well,
got
no,
the
no.
cat colored up.
Yeah, but I
Our
was gonna say,
familiars are here.
but I was gonna say, Tisa, today, and I guess USA and maybe Mary knows this is National Black Cat Day today.
Oh,
It is
okay.
National Black Cat Day. Yes, it is. That's why I said, Mary, is that black? Oh my gosh.
Well, it's dark gray. We had the black cat, and the first 2 weeks of the pandemic, she got out and she never came back. She broke our
Oh.
heart. We don't know what happened to Moonlight. And so black cats adored in this house, but we still shed a tear for her every day. Oh my God, don't even get me emotional. Let's go back to these damn housewives. Okay. So I did not like at all. Like, I felt like it was out of place, this moment between Kyle and Kathy. It was kind of uncalled for because they didn't really dig deep in the season about it to be talked about that way and to bring such emotion. And how can you have a stance about American Woman without watching it? It's just like Andy when he was dissing the Housewife and the Hustler documentary without watching it. You know what I mean? It was like so ridiculous to me. I wish that wasn't in the show. And what
you think she did watch it or she didn't watch it?
I think she did watch, because like, how can you form such an abhorrent reactive position towards something without watching it? You know what I mean?
Well, people inbox me all the time about stuff that happens on YouTube, people's lives I have not watched, people's channels I watch, and they come back to me with tea. So it is possible, if you trust the source, it is possible to get an opinion about something you have not watched.
But it's not about your mother. I assure you, I bet my bottom dollar, if it was something about your mother, you would watch and pretend you did not watch.
True.
Okay. So that's especially like when she loves her mother that much, and she was acting like a little girl. Like, it was so odd to me. Like, I understand, like, losing parents is very hard. I lost my dad. I still cry for him, but it's the way she cried. She tried to sob. It was odd. Something is off. I cannot pinpoint on it. If she comes back next season, I will. But like, I feel like it's a touch and go thing. There is something off about that. I wish it wasn't there at all. And Kyle, all the time, she was co-signing it. It's like her and Erika, they agreed on everything to be said, like by bringing like justification or testimonies about how people behave when they have Alzheimer's. That was like, oh my God, if that's not co-signing with her, I don't know what is. And she pretended.
Still, not to interrupt, but listen, and this is no disrespect to him, but out of all the finagling and underhanded things and people they have in their pockets, I'm still waiting for him to be legally verified by an independent medical officer. For you guys to think that he had the whole California legal system and police system on lock and think that didn't extend to doctors, again, maybe it's true. I will eat crow if it's not, but I'm waiting for an independent. I'm waiting for an independent
He
verification.
doesn't have Alzheimer's. She even referred to that picture that he has a bruised eye. He doesn't have Alzheimer's. That's all part of the plan. That she is still crying about him. She's saying, I hope it's not true. She's saying alleged victims. It's like, come on.
Wait, so hold up, Miriam. So a lot of people are saying, right? Lorinda said Kathy may have gotten info from others, and Mel, jump in. She seems too sensitive about her mother's loss to watch. Meep says, I think Kathy was upset because she didn't want her mother exposed. She pimped out her girls. Who knows what else is going on in that house? Kenny said Kathy was definitely fake crying. I'm sorry. Now, I would submit to you guys, Kathy is Botox to the gods, and Botox does make it hard to show emotion and to cry. And second of all, Lorinda has a point. I avoid things I don't want to think about or hear about. I avoid people. I avoid situations. If something's painful to me, Lorinda, you might have a point, and this all goes in personality. I wouldn't watch it because I wouldn't even want to see anything that even reminded me of my mom. It's just too painful. There are TV shows I won't watch because they're set in locations that painful things happened to me when I was younger. So yes, yeah, I won't even watch a TV show about it. I don't care. I have no interest in it, and it's just because it's set in the location, not about anything I went to, but just set. So some people just have when things bother you, you're like, wash your hands with it.
I feel like this is about my mother. There's no way she did not watch that show. She must have not liked it. Maybe she was like, why are you doing only this? This should be a family affair. I think it's all about the money, to be honest with you. I'm not saying she doesn't love her mother, but in my opinion, those two things are not mutually exclusive. I feel like her rift with Kyle, just like it started when Mauricio left the real estate agency and made a mass exodus with the best real estate agents in that company and brought them to his. The same thing with American Woman, because they were talking until American Woman. They were talking a little bit in the show. She did a few cameos in the show. So I feel like it's all about the money here. And I would like to get to the bottom of the comment that Kim, when she accused Kyle of stealing her house. That is what I really want to know. This is why I hope one day someone publishes Kim's book, the book that was stopped.
And I heard it's coming out.
Something to do with that. Yes. It's like
But I think that this time I think that the family, Kim's family, would probably censor it because the idea publicly is that they all getting along. But I will say this: I think that what I was saying earlier is that for me, I would feel a certain way if family, again, I'm not sort of the Rockefeller, but I definitely would feel a certain way if people were doing stuff without me participating. That being said, I don't feel that Kyle is an angel. I don't feel she's innocent. I also feel like at root of these sort of problems, yeah, money could be involved, but I think that even on a financial basis, if every time you do business or there's some implication of some kind of business on the backs of your family, whether it be in real estate or movies, and you all can't come to agreement. So yes, let's say Kyle is about to financially benefit from a movie or a real estate deal, and her family said, wait, I feel a certain type of way about that. Kyle is, she's always in starting these situations. She's going out starting the movie. She's out there doing this thing.
Question for you. You just said that the family censored the book. So they censored the book and they were not able to censor the American Woman? It doesn't make sense.
Well, I think that, yeah.
No, it does make sense. It does make sense. Kyle did some underhanded stuff where she skirted that line saying these people are based on not my mom, but just based on a kooky woman that has 3 girls and 2 going to TV and all this other stuff. She literally
nobody stop a book from being published.
No, I remember the legal stuff. No, I remember that legal stuff. Kim actually came out and said, this is about my mom. This is about my sister. She literally did an autobiography. So they could go and say, nope, this is about me and I'm not going to have it published.
Nobody can stop a book.
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can. You can. You can. What happens is your lawyers contact the publisher and say, you can publish this book if you want, but you are using my likeness. You are referring to me without my consent. So guess what? Publish that book, but I'm coming for those profits. And if somebody uses your
Yeah,
likeness without consent, well, hold on. If somebody uses your likeness without consent, 30% of the gross profits are automatically theirs. So what happens is the publisher says, it's not worth my time publishing this, because if they sue, they're going to get a minimum 30%. They might even get more, because there'll be punitive damages for someone using your image or likeness without your permission. You have a right to copyright of your image and likeness. So that's how they shut down the book. The publisher just said, it's not worth my time to publish. That's how they shut it down. So you're right. You can't stop a book, but you can let them know I'm going to sue you into oblivion. And that's what
yeah,
happens with the Hilton's lawyers.
yeah. And now about Crystal, I feel like the way Andy was bringing her up and giving her a moment was first because she barely spoke in the reunion.
That's
Secondly,
true.
that book of diversity and inclusion. Period. That was
Mm.
it. Because you're protecting, or if you are for minorities, there is tons of ways that Bravo can do to really uplift these ethnicities, not by just like having them being like dragged or hurt, and then, oh, but your culture is important. Oh, her culture is important, and yet you chose to have Kathy's backyard portrayed as the set of the reunion, not the Chinese year. They're so tone deaf.
Well, I was going to say on that point, Miriam, I'd like to jump about this. So on that point, Miriam, what episode was this? 3. So we got 4 next week, which is the last part, right? The last part's 4. So between the two of you, now 2 ladies. So do we think that they will even make a reference to Garcelle's dinner? Because I love this point. We didn't, they wanted to include, different kind of culture things. The woman had a reaction to Garcelle's beautiful dinner, and I want to know if they will gloss over that and really touch on the fact that we treated Chris's event differently than we treated Garcelle's cooking. So they both had different, yeah.
No, so to your point, Mel, and this is a great point. Absolutely. Because the thing is, they act like Garcelle was feeding them like fried frog toenails. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that Lisa Rinna dug into caviar pie and acted weird that she had to eat stone crab, and anyone that's ever had caviar knows it's the fishiest thing out there. It's
That's
salty,
right.
it's fishy. You cannot not like seafood but get into caviar. It's literally these two things. The fact that you can eat sea urchin, but you can eat caviar,
And,
fine.
and let's not even talk about pate or duck livers and
It was weird. And it's like there's Lisa Rinna, there's no way that you've been to functions, that you've been to charity events, that you've been to fine dining, that you have not experienced foie gras, that you have not experienced seafood, that you haven't experienced crab. Garcelle was not serving anything out of the ordinary. The only thing different was it was Haitian spice. So that's actually very, very interesting that they were just so, and I feel like Lisa Rinna was making a show of it, because she doesn't care about Crystal, but she's emotionally intelligent enough to know that Garcelle is very sensitive, and I would be like, I don't care. Like I would just look at her like, Lisa, you are so obvious, but Garcelle's sensitive, and it bothers her that
yeah.
she is so I don't know, comforting of Crystal, but not comforting of her.
Remember, you just mentioned like how about like when they said I don't see color, the difference of Crystal's reaction to when Kathy said and to when Sutton said. Well,
Right.
there was this light between her and Sutton, and I don't think she ever knew how filthy rich Sutton was.
Yeah.
So for like Kathy can say, I am a horrible person, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a woman of the streets, and it's Kathy Hilton. She knows they exist, so I will be happy. This is how Crystal is. I feel like Crystal wants so bad to be part of the group that I'm just gonna make this up right now. We know of body dysmorphia, right? I feel like Crystal, just because she achieved a certain socioeconomic status in Beverly Hills, I think she doesn't think what what usually happens to Asians should happen to her, because now she's different. This is how I feel, and this is why I feel
Well,
like
hold
she.
on, Miriam. Hold on. Before you go down that road, let's reverse and back up because none of us are Asian. And I just feel, and I know you're speaking with a good heart, and there might be some truth in what you're saying, but since none of us are Asian, I don't want to speak on the Asian American experience of like what we think she feels when it comes to racism because
Ah,
let's
what you're saying. I'm not saying that the feelings are not real. I just feel like she was kind of shocked. She wasn't expecting that because she got to a point she thought, oh, now nobody's gonna be mean to me like they were before.
but
That's
but
how.
but here's the thing, and let's reverse out of this, right? Because we're on, but um, I will say this: Rob didn't make Crystal. Crystal's brother is a pop star. She comes from a very very wealthy family on her own. She married into even more money. Rob bought her parents a house, or not because they needed it, but because that's what they do in their culture. It's a sign of respect. But let's actually just like great points, Miriam. But let's just actually back out of it because none of us are Asian America and we don't know what it's like to experience racism as an Asian American person. So it's like I can understand from the outside looking in how we could think that about Crystal. Totally understand. But again, we are just outsiders looking in. You know what I'm saying? So let's back out of that and go to something we
the,
could talk about, you know?
Well, okay, I want to bring up a point. Can I? I was gonna bring up a point too, and
Oh, wait,
maybe you could.
Miriam, you're muted
Yeah,
also. We
you
can't hear
you,
you.
you muted Miss
You're
Miriam.
going?
Oh, I want to make up a point now.
Yeah.
Not a shady point, but on many blogs, and I'm sure we all know this. On many blogs, they all talked about a certain, how can we say, a certain YouTuber who was sort of dragging certain people on Potomac. You know, the very big YouTuber
Mhm.
lady that doesn't, and a lot of people say, oh well, that blogger is gone. You know, that person is
Oh, yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
over. But we saw like a screenshot of the person's website on the series, and I said,
I,
so I want to ask Mary, I want to ask both of you. I thought when I watched Bravo all this year that they did show things from 2019, 2020 as a flashback to the blog. That post that they showed in reference, I'm seeing the note here. What was the note here? That post when it came to, I don't know, somebody. It was somebody. I forget who it was about, but it was in September 2021. It's very recent, so I'm trying to figure out if, even though that blog doesn't really post anything, I wonder if Bravo has a connection to that blog because I don't understand why when it's not posting anything and nothing's happening.
about
Oh,
Potomac.
say it again.
Remember, when in Potomac they keep showing the
Yes,
all about the shy. I'm gonna
yeah, that's
call the
right.
shy
That's right.
Arab.
We don't want to be dragged. No, no, no.
Okay, all about the shy. I'm drinking shy. I'm drinking
Okay.
shy.
Yes.
Anyhow, they keep mentioning the blog. I feel like
And I yeah, yeah.
wait a second. It is very odd that all of a sudden now they're plugging that
Right.
channel that now is in shambles.
Right.
That channel kind of
Listen,
like
listen. I don't have a dog in the fight, no tea, no shade at
no
all
me
with it.
neither.
But I know, but
Me
I was just like, wow, because it seemed like all, like you said, all the things on Bravo was like 2000 stamp with 2019, 2020. So this was really like what I was just shocked. I was like, wow, because that blog is pretty dead right now, So it was interesting that they would post a story from there.
Yeah. That's
It-
actually a good point. Like, why out of all the blogs, all the bloggers on YouTube, not even myself, I'm like a baby YouTuber, but the people like Grace Report, the
right, right.
Layla Lynn's,
Empire. Yeah, 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 yeah.
the Sherelle's World, like all the people that have huge followings that really
Yeah.
do nothing, curtains, but you choose this one thing that was just pumping out lies. But it's funny that these lies were included as storylines. You're right, that's suspicious. You picked the
That-
most not credible blog. Ooh, what if Monica, let me stop spreading gossip, but
yeah,
listen,
okay.
conspiracy theory, this is not true, this is my opinion. What
Be
if the
careful.
reason Monica never showed her face is because she worked for True Entertainment, or she was a producer, or somebody that worked for on the Real Housewives, and that's how she was getting tea, and that's why it was working hand in hand, and that's why she never showed her face. Everybody said it was because she's a lawyer, she says she's that. What if she was actually a Bravo person? If they showed her face, it's like, well, you work for Bravo. I'm just
yeah.
saying.
I
I don't
think that you
know.
something. But the only thing that doesn't make sense is that if she was really an undercover agent for Bravo, she wouldn't be such a fan of Monique Samuel.
No, but so listen. Also, you guys, just to let you guys know, tomorrow at 4 p.m., I'm doing a book. Y'all, we're starting a Tattle Tells book club. I'm doing a book club. We're going to start with All Diamonds Aren't Rosé. Layla Lynn is going to be doing it. We're not doing a review of the book. We're doing an old school book club where, I'm doing the dramatic reenactments of the readings. We're going to tell who was being truthful, who wasn't, sprinkle in the personal firsthand tea we know, and also let you guys call in. It's going to be a good time. The first chapters we're doing are chapters 3 and 8. That's Real Housewives of Atlanta and Real Housewives of Potomac. And then we're going to move on to Real Housewives of New Jersey. Just follow the book club. Listen, if you guys don't have your copy of the book, go ahead and order it now. As long as you don't put like ketchup fingers on the pages, you can return books. Kindle gives you 8 days to return any books that you got, and Audible gives you a month. How do I
Yeah.
know? Because sometimes I've returned books. So
Uh-oh.
or if not, just join and have a key. But I say this to say, to Miriam's point, right? They wouldn't have been so against Monique. Candace reveals in there, and listen, you guys think that the recaps, like the little blurbs people are talking about and doing headlines. That's not even half of the juicy stuff. I don't even know why they picked out. So join for the book club. It's going to be live, but they actually say that when it happened, Monique contacted Andy. Andy was in talks with Monique all the time, trying to see what was going on, trying to see a way that he could finesse her. And because Andy actually took Monique's side, he refused to take one call from Candace to let Candace explain to him one time. Now, I know everybody said that Andy was harsh on Monique on the reunion. I thought he gave her softball questions. And what I
Yeah,
saw
me too.
was Andy trying to give Monique out, but Monique was so prideful she wouldn't take it. She said he tried to get her apologize. Monique wouldn't apologize. Whether or not you think Monique was right or wrong, she was like, she didn't feel like she was wrong and she wasn't apologizing. When he said, oh, but this is probably enough for the money, that's when Andy got mad, because Monique was like, this little check? Because if anything, that's one thing about Andy, he expects people to kiss his feet. And
Mm-hmm.
Monique let it be known, my husband is very financially stable and these little checks aren't doing anything. But I saw with Andy, he kept trying to throw her the same bones he threw Portia. Portia humbled herself and she went on the apology tour. Monique, she didn't feel like she needed to. But when you talk about who gave a chance, Andy wouldn't even take Candace's call. He wouldn't even talk to her, and he wouldn't even let Candace tell him her side of the story. He was not interested. So
Listen, Monique, she apologized to Candace and she said, what I did wasn't directed towards you. You did not deserve that. She did apologize to Candace.
well, here's
Candace
the
is,
thing. When I
I
say
don't
apologize,
a softball
she
on her.
first of all, the apology, you could argue whether it was authentic or not, but we're about to get into Erika Jane after this. But I will say this: when she said, and I do it again, the apology wasn't for Candace. The apology was for the insurance that has to insure the production. Every production in that's in any place in America under the SAG, even for reality TV, it must be insured. You cannot have a production if it's not insured, right? So by apologizing and saying that she never do it again, that's when the insurance actuaries can go in and be like, okay, she's not a risk.
She left it.
However,
She
no,
left the
no, I'm talking about before she left the show. This was at the reunion when they still wanted her to come back. Monique left the show after the reunion, right? So during the reunion, if they're thinking about offering her a contract back, the people that insure the shows are saying, okay, are there any known risk? Someone saying that I assaulted my coworker and guess what? I don't know what triggered me and guess what? I would do it again. That
Did
is a
they
risk.
Jersey? Did they do this in New Jersey with
Yes.
Teresa?
Teresa had to apologize, and Teresa had to go to anger management, and Teresa had to say she would never do it again. Listen, it's not whether Teresa did it
The Danielle pull Margaret's hair. Like, what are you
and
talking about?
and Danielle got taken off and she apologized. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying what they needed that apology for. It
Okay.
wasn't for Candace. It was
So
for
what
the
I'm
insurance people could watch it.
so what I think that's a good point. I was just going to say, listen, I ain't going to talk about Monique and all that again, but I was going to say what you brought up here, Tisa, was good. Is that you're saying basically there's a formula for most of the franchises that when you get out of camera or whatever, there's a formula of things to do in which that sometimes people do it and then they go on to the show, and sometimes they don't, and they go, "Listen, I don't need it," basically. Is what's happening. Like love apologizing, doing everything you need to do, for the insurance or whatever it is.
Yes.
There's a formula to it. But let me ask this. I was going to ask one before we go to Erika. Because it goes over. Some of the clothes in the show look nice, but I don't know about women's clothes, stuff like that. So I was going to ask you all, when they did the segment of the clothes, what did either one of you like some of the clothes that the ladies were wearing this year? Like some of the things.
I love Dorit's clothes. I love Dorit's clothes. I like Crystal's clothes. They were really cute, conservative, sexy clothes. Crystal dresses conservative. If I had the money, would dress more like Dorit. What am I saying? I dress like Dorit now in my off time, right? Literally, right? But I love Crystal for the conservative, and I love Garcelle. I didn't like the puffy shoulders, but I think Garcelle was also very, very stylish. So yeah, those are my top 3 when it comes to clothes.
He has like that thing, like he felt in the middle of her, like it needed to be up. That thing on her chest have been under her. Lift them up. It was like every time I look, I'll lift them up.
Where? Kyle's cleavage?
Yeah.
Listen, I like it when breasts sag naturally. I'm not a man, but I like it. I like it.
Oh God,
I like it.
For me, that's.
So for me, I don't know fashion, but for me, the part that I really think of this, it was this movie back in the 80s when I was smaller. It was this picture called Heathers with Winona Ryder and
Yes.
they always in school. Well, Kyle, she saw Crystal's bag, $1,000, and she got back and she had that sort of circle hat on, that big polka dot thing. She was giving me a Karen Heathers from that crazy picture. That's what she was giving me, sort of like some 1980s crazy picture. But let me ask you, we also learned this. Right. So I'm going to ask you. So Crystal said that her husband didn't get that bag, but some mysterious woman who is a friend of the family, she's into a lot of these bags and just gave her a bag for almost $100,000. I'm thinking, damn, is that woman from her past life an escort or something like it?
No, she's in with the bling ring, the crazy rich Asian money. They knew listen, I will say one thing.
Okay.
Listen, I don't know if it's those exactly like Bling Empire, but I will say there is something about having very, very rich friends. They will put you on a flight, no problem, and pay for everything. And it's nothing. It's almost like if the same way we go out to dinner and you're just like, oh, but I can't. Like, I'm short this week. I'm like, oh my God, sit down. I got it. Order champagne, order whatever. I got it. And you don't even blink an eye. So if you multiply that by 1 million, and that's when they're just like, girl, come on, get on the plane. I'm sending a driver for you. Don't worry. We'll go shopping while you're down there. It's just the money's nothing. When you have that much money, it really is nothing. And what is money for except to spend it on your friends and family?
Well, I need a friend. I need to be friends with that lady.
Yeah.
So you guys, let's get in really quick. Let's get in really quick to Erika, though, right? Because I know that's what everybody's waiting for, right? Okay, so here's what happened, right?
Boy.
They start going in, and Erika is. I'm not saying she's a sociopath, but she is so tone deaf and unaware. She really thought she was good. She literally is so, I'm not even going to say she's in a cocoon. For 20 years, she looked at the way she talks to people. For 20 years, you can tell that she listened to Tom talk to people like they were trash. She only knows how to talk down to people. And she talks to a very powerful man's wife who is going to be restored. At that moment, you can tell she still thinks she's going to be restored to power. Now, let's talk about her nonsensical, right? She says, what you have to realize is you can't be fearful of the truth. And everyone was like, Erika, but you never told us the truth. And she was like, I said as much as I could. She did expose herself for lying, where she said, I don't have a heads up that her article's dropping. That's a goddamn lie, because the LA Times always sources people. Well, hold on, guys. Let me just explain for everybody that wasn't watching what happened. She said, I don't have a heads up to LA Times piece. That's a lie. Journalistic integrity when you are a real thing, you have to contact the other side. Tell them that you're writing an article. Tell them what you want the comment on, and tell them when you want the comment, a time frame. Like, and if you could contact me between this time frame, because after that an article. So you do get, now they do shady things, and if the article might be dropping on Wednesday, they call you Sunday night, but you still get a heads up, right? Now,
Yes.
she said, Andy made a point. He said, but you have to admit this consumption looks bad. When she was talking about her Instagram post, she looked up there and said, where is the consumption? Are you that tone deaf that everybody in the room is telling you this looks like conspicuous consumption? And you're like, where's the consumption? This is how much you blew through. She did confirm basically what Bethany said, that Tom was trying to keep Erika happy and knew he had to spend money to keep her. By the way, the conspicuous consumption, and also the weird way she talked about Tom, basically saying, well, Tom's old, but I'm still young. I have life to live. Like, girl, I could not imagine if my parents or anyone I loved, right, got, God forbid, it's stricken with something that is a chronic illness and it's a degenerative disease. And I'm just like, well, they lived their life. I still got life to live. Why are we talking about that? She did say,
That's crazy.
I didn't work at the firm. No, she said, I don't work there, but all the financials were kept there. And everybody was just looking at her like, Erika. And then Crystal confronted her and said, I just know if it was me, where's your anger? She said, I'm very angry. I'm very angry. Don't you hear it in my voice? What would you do? And I said, Erika, but we have an example of you being angry. When you flipped out on Sutton and told her to shut the F up
That's
and called her a
right.
CU and whispered something so vile, Crystal flooded. That's you angry, right? This little dog in point front, right? She did confirm also when he said, did you have any clue? First she said no. Then she said, well, yes, because I was a named defendant. And I asked Tom, what was this? And he said, don't worry about it. Okay, so you did have an idea that something was wrong with the financials. And like Arcel said, you just didn't care to say. Now, she said something very interesting that I thought was the biggest lie exposed. She said that the reason she couldn't show sympathy to the widows and to the children and all these things is because her lawyers advised her not to. I know for a fact legally, and a lot of people told me, you don't know what you're talking about. Trust me, I know the goddamn law. I know what I'm talking about. And you do not show liability by showing compassion to people that are victims.
On the
They will.
opposite.
That's
So,
right.
say like we get into a car accident and say that, Miriam, God forbid, Miriam's driving and I get hurt, right? And I start suing Miriam saying, I'm crippled because of you and you owe me money. The fact that Miriam goes to me and says, listen, Tisa, I fear for you. I don't think it's my fault, but I'm going to pay some of your legal bills and I'm going to give you some money to survive until court. They
Right.
literally have it in law that you are not, that is not an admission of guilt, and they cannot hold it against you because the law wants to encourage people to show their compassion and empathy, even if you don't think that you're wrong, right? So the fact that Erika said this, I looked at her, I was like, you're a goddamn liar. But here's the thing. Erika actually admitted, he said, did your lawyers tell you that? And she said, well, it wouldn't look right. She backed off of that lawyer's thing, right? Erika then goes on to say, Tom called her 5 times a day. I find that really interesting. The fact that he has Alzheimer's, he doesn't know who he is, but he has your number. And if you're not supposed to be contacting Tom, why didn't they take your number out of his phone, right? There was a few other things, right? Again, the one thing that struck with me was Erika still thinking that she is a rich man, powerful man's wife, saying you're either with me or against me, and I'm taking names, and this day's gonna come, and you would have known, right? Erika is a horrible actress. She is a horrible person. She cannot read the room at all.
It was shocking. It was shocking.
Yeah, it was laughable. You guys, what was your whole thing about Erika, Tom, the way she approached things, even the way the comedy was when Erika lashed out at Kyle and Dorit for PK and Mauricio laughing at her, right? And Kyle tried to clean it up. and she sounded so stupid. And Derek just looked at her and just interrupted, like, Kyle, shut up. And she gave, like, okay, yes, we were laughing, but you need to understand it was preposterous, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, what did you guys think of this?
Well, Miriam, you can go first.
Like,
You
just
mute. You
co-signing
mute.
for. Am I
Mary?
mute?
Okay, I can
You
hear you
keep
now.
muting in and out, but go on.
I feel like all of them are co-signing with Erika. They pretend to be at odds with her. Erika thinks she's up here and everybody's down there. She's still taking names. She is mad at everybody but Tom. She cried for Tom. And she said, I love that man. She was like trying to bring sympathy towards Tom, saying like, did you see how derailed he is and his condition? Did you see those pictures with his blue eyes? This is why I think like she's mentioning that picture with like the blue like someone knocked him, or the bruise. So it's like, is she totally exposed once again that she is in the show and in the reunion to lay the grounds for his defense about his supposedly health condition, which is, I don't believe it for a second. And then she goes like, I love that man, and no, I'm not the only victim, but I'm here, I have to survive this. Oh, his life is ended, but I'm just turned 50. So she's like, she tells them, I never said, I'm not the victim, but yet everything she says, like, but poor me, poor me, poor me, and nothing towards the victims. And I noticed they left a scene out in the ads leading up to the reunion. They were showing like Andy saying, but you ripped Crystal's head off right now, and you're not showing anger towards Tom. They didn't play that part in the reunion today. They took that out.
Oh, they didn't.
Yeah,
That's a
they
good point.
didn't. I'm like, when is that? Like, and it can't be next week, because when Crystal finally she opened her mouth. Today she tried, but she's so scared of Erika. Everybody's scared of Erika, and Lisa Renna to like all every time Erika would say something, she would do this. Like, how can you be shocked? Aren't you her bestie who she calls you and tells you everything? So do you want to tell me that you're learning this at the reunion? What type of friends are you? You know what I mean? Like, she pretended, oh, when she said like he was cheating with multiple women and he has a flip phone. That picture that she sent out was an old picture. And she said that that woman just sent him a picture. So it was like all lies, lies. The timeline is not adding up. Erika, we saw that picture is from the 80s. And you said that that day you just saw the picture. Like, no, like, there, like, please
It was a
make
Polaroid
sense.
from 1983.
I cannot. It's like, it's crazy. And all of them are co-signing. And to just to your point, when Andy wants to rescue someone, he does what he did to Erika. He was like, yes, but you're not showing compassion. You're not talking about the victims. And Erika didn't take the bait. Like, she needed to do that, and she didn't. And everybody else was like, then they said, yeah, but you're fueling the fire, because they are worried about their reputation, because they're taking slack because of Erica and because of the way they are defending her. But they still want her in the show because they know she's the golden goose that's bringing the viewership, that they didn't even care about what they were wearing. The only one wearing a decent thing was the Reed. You know, the rest, they were horrible. Nobody was dressed up nicely. I like that it was transparent. She brought some sex appeal, Garcelle, because it was a little bit sheer. But that was it. It's like, I cannot, like, they are all co-signing. They are all trying to justify the way Erika was acting, that she's angry. They tried unsuccessfully to retract from her some compassion, but there's no compassion in that woman. That woman, she is a shell of a person. She has nothing inside her heart. You know what? Instead of her heart, she has a wallet where she hides all the Cartier rings, the chavals and the money. And she was with that man for the money. She says she loved that man, but she left him when when he mostly needs her. Supposedly, if you want to believe her, that he's sick.
Listen,
Like, oh,
Miriam,
God,
I
I can't.
honestly, when I watch Erica on this reunion, I honestly look because when people act like that, I think, what do you know that I don't know? Because you're acting like you're about to be put back to where you were. Maybe you have money hidden. Maybe you thought Tom was going to beat this. Or maybe you have another rich, powerful man that you're trying to jump into, right?
All of the above.
Maybe all of the above. But literally, when I see people act so contrary and so stubborn, Erica's a smart cookie. Granted, I think she's insane, but she has not lost touch with reality. So I literally was like, Erica, what do you know that we don't know? Where's this sense of bravado and confidence coming from? Because even now, she's still posting like life's not going to be a problem for her. So,
Oh yeah, she's gonna get away with it. We all know that. She's not gonna be liable. She's gonna do a settlement, and then she's gonna pretend, just like that lawsuit that they brought up, the excerpt from past reunion. And what about that? It's settled, and they apologize. Like,
yes.
even when they're sued, people owe her an apology, and that's the same thing she's expecting from all the women, to apologize to her. You will see next season how she's gonna treat them, and they're all gonna be just like, please, please, pat me in the hair and the head, Erica, please, please. It's like, it's
Mm,
crazy. I
you
think
know
she
what?
knows a lot of their skeletons. She
Okay.
knows shit about them. This is why she told them, if you guys don't treat me right, all your dirty laundry is gonna be out there, and you try me. She's a gangster.
Mhm.
She's like the mafia. She's the mob. If Leah used to wear married to the mob, she is the mob herself. Erica is a mobster. She's a gangster,
You're like,
and
she's the mob.
she's the mob. And you know what?
Mafioso.
To your point, she knows she's gonna get away with it, and she knows that everybody will have to kiss her Cartier ring.
Okay, we'll see if she gets away with it because, to your
She,
point, I was thinking they're like, to Erica's words, they're rats on a ship. If they see power going down, they're going to try to cannibalize her or go down with the strip. But you're right. The only thing they can
but
save
she's
her,
more
excuse
powerful.
me, is if she actually has dirt on them. And that's the way she's acting. That she has
She has
dirt.
that. She
Yeah, I
does.
love the way you said she's the mob. She's
She's the
mafioso. That's the
mob.
way.
She's the whole mob in there. Like that pretty mess is like the pretty mob. It's like, it's terrible. It's like, in our eyes, I know she's not criminally liable, maybe, but just ethically, there are no morals there. She has no remorse. She has no compassion. It's all about herself, that she's spending for herself. And that for her to think that if she's compassionate with the victims, that implies guilt, that couldn't be furthest from the truth. And it's just like, she's tone deaf, and she's entitled, and she got away all these years with everything they were doing, and she knows that they will get away again, because they have dirt on the politicians, and they have dirt on the woman in the show.
Hmm.
And mark my words, she's more powerful, than she's not weaker. She
So
is the
yeah.
most powerful housewife in the show right now.
So
Everybody's
for me,
I'm hate watching because of her.
yeah. So
Hate
for
watching.
me, I would what I would say. I had a couple of things I want to say. So first thing I would say is if I was on the would say to Erica, Erica, you're not Tammy Faye Baker, you're not Hillary Clinton. There have been by the size of infamous, unbelievable scandals of man, and they did not go mean and crazy on all the people. So first off, you got to calm down. Your scandal is not the biggest scandal we've ever seen in America. That's step one. So that was the clock right there. Look at these women who actually went through these scandals with these people where they had affairs and husbands and at the top of the world, a man who basically then he was taking money from these people. So remember, there's other people in society who suffer scandals, and you're not the worst case by far of people who suffer scandals. That's one.
That's a good
And then
point.
second, I
That's a
would
good point.
also say that for me as a viewer, I just saw that she was angry because she lost access to the planes and the jets, and I think that was what, and to Andy's part. he was trying to save her, whatever. But he was saying, listen, and I didn't think about this until he said it, and I think there's a great point both you made tonight, is that her character, Erika Jane, the character, the song, this and all those things that she was doing, it is of consumption. It's a character of spending. It's a character of drinking. It's a character that people in the good times. But if you're going through bad times, you have to face the victims. You can't say I'm spending everything and showing everything and doing everything. As PK said brilliantly, I would say this year, it's you need to take that character, put it on the shelf, take her essence, put her into the closet, come back out and show that you're volunteering, show that you're participating in something. Do something. I mean, that's like damage 101. I don't have a team behind me. Even if you having it, even if you get speeding ticket, you got to go to classes to sort of have some rehabilitation. So she's not open to rehabilitation. She's not open to doing some work.
But why would she be?
Well, I was going to say,
Even
yeah,
Kathy can prepare her.
I know. I think that so
Even
for
Kathy,
her, she's
for
so
her to
entitled.
mention that there were other
Well,
housewives that
Wait,
had
hold on.
the scandals, and
Wait,
yeah,
then
hold on,
I think,
Miriam.
Andy told her, well, they didn't have victims; they were defrauding the IRS, and that's
Well, hold
different.
on a second.
yeah.
Hold on a second, Miriam, because Mel, finish your point. That was an interesting point you're making.
Well, I was just going to say that the whole thing is that I think that what should have been brought up this season is that the fact is she's not really so this is the thing. I was a friend of hers or whatever. I would say, listen, girl, you made a bad decision. You got into a marriage that didn't work out. Now, many people, you're not a mother with a man who done cheated and ran off with all your money, leave you without. You are a person who does terrible things. But what happens with those situations, if you're healthy, you're going to say, you know what, I made a bad decision. And I did make a decision. I take ownership of that. I got into a relationship with this person who did all these terrible things. Now I have to get up and say, okay, what can I do now? You're still blaming other people. You're not really doing this kind of, you're not open to changing your life, basically. Yeah, so that Instagram thing was the big thing. And also what I also thought was that it was funny to me that all these months later, which I thought was really disgusting, that she would still use Garcelle as the reason she left that cabin. When he, like you were saying, that report that the story is coming out, and all these months later, she would still use Garcelle and say, I didn't leave because of the story. I left because Garcelle made me upset. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. That I thought that was real. And crazy that Tom obsessively calls her every day. I mean, if he called her 5 days when he was at the reunion, that means he's still calling her now. So what I see is that this man, I see that this man calls this woman every single day, multiple times, obsessively trying to track her down. That's just very sad. It's really crazy.
Strategy. Of course, they're talking. Everything she said, it's all in favor of Tom. She said the story was told only one side, not all sides. We need to get to the bottom of it. I hope it's not true, because if he did that, that's not the man I got married to. Everything she was saying was kind of good about Tom. She's still defending Tom without defending Tom. In everything she goes like, that's not the man I married, and we still have to get to the bottom of it. Like, get to the bottom of what? The victims did not get their money. The money you and your husband were spending, it's math. But is she that blonde? Like,
No,
come
I
on.
think she's playing stupid. I think she's just playing stupid. She knows what everybody's talking about, and she keeps talking around in word salad. But like I said, she's used to being a very powerful man's wife. And again, this is a good clue on how Tom talked to people, right? It's only intimidation, talking down, kicking down. I can tell you the sky's purple, and you just better go with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You make a good point, Mel, about Erika, and you do too, Miriam, about the mob and about like her whole thing about I stood by this man. The fact that and here's the thing, even if Andy didn't want to grill her on her obvious inconsistencies, what about digging into her about, girl, you saying you stood by and you did everything possible, but you literally left this man like a thief in the night and you won't look back. The fact that you swear you care about this man, and this is what makes me think he truly doesn't have Alzheimer's. But you're saying he has late stage Alzheimer's or dementia, and he's calling you 5 times a night. or more, and there's nothing in your heart tugging. There's nothing that wants you. It's like I could have
Right.
a dog. Forget it. No, that's not true. Of course, I see my dog, but I could have a pet turtle that I spent 20 years with and be like, well, can I visit the turtle? Okay, fine. I let the turtle out into the wild, but can I go see what the turtle's doing? The fact that you don't even care, it's like, no, he's gone. He's 83. I'm
And the
50.
two, that's true. And the two supposedly is that allegedly she and her alleged, and also his medical condition. So these are the two things. If it's alleged, that means that in your eyes, Erika, he's not guilty. So why are you not together? When that's one. Two is if it's a medical problem, it's a death do you part. So those two reasons, medical reasons, and also these crimes. If you're not involved in it, you don't have to run like a thief in the night. You got to go, okay, how many people who have had children and husbands who have been convicted of God help me, killing and bombing, and they still show up at the court crying and say, I'm so sorry for what my family did. I'm so sorry about this. They didn't run. They didn't, So I think that for me is that's just the thing that doesn't, and then also having sleeping with other men. So the thing is, if he has not changed, and this is the man you love, and now he's in trouble with the law. He's also trouble medically. This is the thing that turns you on to now go out there and have a relationship. If you loved him all like, the way you loved him last year, what's the difference? These two things happen. If he's not to blame, this is her idea. He's not to blame for his medical condition, or, allegedly is still not the truth. So what was your reason? That was never sort of told at the reunion, why you decided to have different relationships. And
You know what's so funny about the Erika thing, last thing? This is what I thought, and you guys have already touched on it. The reason why Erika's not apologizing is because, not apologizing, but more empathetic, is because she doesn't give a damn about those victims of anything. She's mad at those victims for messing up her money train.
That's
and
right.
She's hiding behind, oh, I can't say sorry because of legal issues. Well, you're just mad as hell. They messed up your scam, and you'll go over your dead body giving them anything because they messed up your lifestyle. They are the villain in your story.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, that's true. Tisa, she can't say sorry because it's not in her spirit. That's why it's not coming out. It's choking.
Exactly.
It's not coming out because it's not
Hiding
there.
behind everything she
That's
can.
right.
Why
You
would
don't think
she?
I'm angry, but she won't say sorry to the victims.
That's right. She is not there.
Nobody is holding her to the fire. Everybody, even Kathy, went ready to. She thought of it. She goes, "Oh, but other housewives, they were sued. Like, what makes this different? Like, they all went there to support her." She even said, "Like, this is where, like, I liked Kathy for a minute. I drank the hunky dory Kool-Aid. I did, and I'm sorry. I'm a recovering, like, hunky dory, addict. But, like, she goes like, yeah, and here is where I can empathize. I feel with Erika, or what's the word she used? Like, yeah, when you hold everything in, it like, well, what the heck? You were never angry at anyone, not even Kai. You never showed anger. You were always classy in your digs and everything. There is nothing relating. Like, everybody went there. Even Garcelle, uh, I love Garcelle, but I was, girl, why you're doing this? Oh, I get it. Oh, I understand. No, Garcelle, your situation with your husband when he cheated on you is completely different. When you learned that he cheated on you, you blasted him in the company, emailing everybody, and you got out. So there is no relationship. There is no comparison to what you did when you found out. You were angry, yeah. Who wouldn't be? But Erika, she wasn't angry. Most likely she was doing the same thing. So why were you co-signing with her even in that? That made me mad. That made me like, it's clear that there was a decision, an executive decision. Every housewife was talked to by her producer. You need to show a little bit, like, we can't lose Erika. We can't lose Erika.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line. That is what's happening. This is why they made 4 parts, which didn't need to be 4 parts. They're trying to
No.
fight us. They're trying to brainwash us, and they're trying to see if it's gonna land with people. And we have some bloggers saying, like, they're not defending Erika, but they are. I'm like, I don't care. For me, she never was a criminal. For me, she was the non-empath, the sociopath, the selfish, the egocentric, the entitled woman that just because the money ran out, she got out.
Yeah, that's true. That's it. Point blank. That's right.
That's
That's it.
point blank. So
Yeah.
listen, you guys, this episode, let's get this over with, right? It didn't listen, that's another thing with Bravo's thing, right? Mel, I love Mel's giggle. He's like, yeah, right. He was wait, listen, one thing that you guys never lied about, this reunion could have been one full reunion or two parts at the absolute most. I am sick and tired of
Of the
Bravo,
four.
and I say that, and I'll be watching next week, right? But god damn it, right? If you're going to give us 4 parts, give us 4 parts. So you guys rate this episode and let me know your final thoughts. Let's wrap this up because this third part was just like, really, Andy? Like, really? Like, ugh, God, just go on.
Zero, zero, zero. I did not enjoy it, and I didn't hate Erika more. Usually, I hate watch Erika.
Yeah.
I knew what was coming. I hated more the woman because for me, like she can do whatever we know we expect from her. This exactly this, but you guys at least be a little bit of like show some spine. Nobody showed the spine towards Erika other than Sutton.
Yes. Well,
Sutton.
Garcelle got in there too when she said,
Yeah,
but
but Garcelle,
Erika.
she was signing her about the cheating, and what
Oh,
Garcelle did is totally different than what Erica was doing. So for me, this is where Garcelle she dropped the ball for me. I'm like she was holding it like she shouldn't have. Just
Yeah.
give your thank eye to her like you were giving her, and that's it. Don't say a word,
Well,
even if
I
they
think, yeah,
say
I think for me, I'm going to give it a 4 too. I see a lot of 4s in the chat. So I'm going to give it a 4 too because,
Jen.
yeah, I think at the end of the day, for me, as I said before, Erica to me, and I'm being all serious, she gives me very, very, very dark energy. At a certain point, I don't know as a viewer, I might hate watching, but as a viewer, I can't. She just makes it very uncomfortable to watch the show because she's just so a little bit. She's annoying. She's hard headed. She doesn't want to listen to anything. She's argumentative, defensive. Like it's like, okay, woman, please. Like I mean, you show some humanity. There's nothing there but darkness. Like you're bitter. You're this way. You made decisions in your life. It didn't work out well. You got exposed. That's what we're going to say. You got exposed for the things you've done and things you do. So you have to own that. And you're 50 years old, which is no shade to that. I think you can always learn to be a better person, but she doesn't seem to be open to that. So as a viewer, I'm not really co-signing watching. I mean, before the reunion, I actually fast forwarded her scenes. Like, oh, I liked the scenes where the women were talking about her, even though that's shady. I didn't really like the scenes where she was angry and doing that sort of mumbling voice, and she didn't want to talk about nothing. Like, no, girl, I don't. It's no, it's just too annoying to me. I don't like all the things she does. So yeah, her energy is very dark. And as I said before, I couldn't be friends with a person like that. Like every time you come around, you're in a bad mood. You don't want to say anything. You're not asking about me. I don't never see you ask about the other ladies. Like, no, please don't be a part of my world and my energy. I don't want nothing to do with you because right now you're draining. You're an emotional vampire. So no.
She tried to look even innocent by wearing this pale pink, and it didn't work. It was like the worst time I've ever seen her dressed. I was never crazy about what Erica dresses. Never was. I felt like she was too much. She was.
yeah.
I like more Dorit's. Like if I was skinny as Dorit, and I could buy stuff and return them like she does, then
Oh yeah, yeah. So wait a minute. So they gloss over that. So that was a fine part. That's the good point. Before we go, Andy Andy. Listen, he probably in the chat right now. Andy watches all these blogs. I really do because why would
Not
he
this
ask
one, because
about?
we be dragging him.
Well, why would he ask about the fashions? Because Miriam, you know this too. There's been so many rumors about her borrowing clothes and sending it back. So he asked her. He said, "Well," he said, "Didn't he ask her, Miss Tisa? Didn't he say?" Do you
Yeah.
pay for all your clothes? You pay for all your clothes. He was acting all shocked and everything. That was very shady. He was basically trying to, you know.
you're a good detective. You can get an estimate of how much money, like all the clothes that Dorit wore this season would cost. And I bet my
All the
bottom
clothes she
dollar.
wore this season, a little bit more north of 350,000.
Oh yeah, she doesn't have that money. She doesn't have that money.
A little
It's
bit
like
north. It was definitely under 400,000, but it was north of 350,000.
Andy
Wow.
Dorit more about her clothes than he grilled Erika.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
So
that. I
that
think for me,
that he
yeah, I
made
think
it
that.
sound like in the promo.
Yeah, I
Just
think
one
for me.
out.
Oh,
Did you
okay.
see the promo? Like they kept repeating that he's I'm gonna put you in a skewer and grill it. Like it made it sound like he was talking, he was reenacting or quoting Tom, and it wasn't. It was him talking to her in the between intervals or
Hmm. You
breaks,
see, this is
saying,
why.
"Oh, thought I was gonna grill you."
You see, this is why I like Carol. Again, I don't know about women's clothing, but that's why I like Carol Razawell because I knew she brought her clothes. I used to actually see her around the city sometime when she'd be sort of moving around. So I knew when she said to Luann, she said, I don't borrow from Giovanni." That was hysterical. I love that scene. I love Carol. I love all the shade. She said, "I don't borrow from Giovanni. I pay for all my clothes." And I believed her because you can see for her
Yes.
clothes, they weren't too shiny, they weren't too flashy.
As
They were wearable. They were for her. But with other people who borrow all the time, it's all about the names. Like, I love Karen, but it's all about the Fendi and the things. So it's about showing off. And I think when you buy your own clothes, you don't buy for people to see, you buy for your comfort. So you can see the difference in the way people wear clothes.
is
Yes.
old money. You smell old money from Carol. She,
Yeah.
she had a career even before marrying the prince.
Yeah.
She's really like
But
and
he,
then she added more money. She's loaded, that
yeah, but
woman.
Karen, but Andy was
Definitely.
shady. He was basically trying to say, Dory, do you borrow your clothes or do you, that's what he was trying to do.
Yeah, he grilled the Dorit more than he grilled
Yes, he
Erica.
did. Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. So you guys, listen, I give this a 4. Mariam gave it a 0. You gave it a 4. So it's at level 2. This, listen, it was a third part. It is what it is. I was just so frustrated that Andy let Erica overtalk everyone, didn't let anybody challenge her. It's almost like I keep saying they're scared, but I'm like, is this producers telling her just to let her speak? It was just weird to me. But if we add into her thinking she's mafioso, then
She's the
it
mom.
definitely makes sense. But you guys, thank you so much for joining this recap and rant. We made the best of it. Thank you so much, Mel. Thank you so much, Miriam. We made the best of it. It
The
was great,
recap.
you guys. Tomorrow I am doing the first ever Tattle Tell book club, and it's going to be starring
Awesome.
All Diamonds Aren't Roses. Listen, if you guys have never joined a book club, I do dramatic reinterpretations. We laugh, we gossip. You guys can call in, it could be in the chats, and we literally discuss the book. And I'm actually surprised that more people didn't actually read the book instead of just doing the highlights that were like sent out as press releases because there's so much juiciness in the book. And the stuff that's in the book is actually juicier than the press releases that they sent out. But it doesn't matter. We're doing a book club. We're doing chapters 3 and 8. Yes, we will be reviewing every trash book that
I'm
comes
gonna
out.
buy
It's
and
gonna be
return.
a good kiki.
I'm gonna
What's
buy.
that? It's gonna
Gonna
be a good kiki. So join me and Layla tells it all at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. And if you miss it for the live chat, make sure you jump in for the playback. Next week, I'm gonna have other guests for the book review. There's a couple of YouTubers that were actually in the works of trying to make something happen with the book reviews. It's going to be a fun time. And also, we're going to be doing reviews for Portia's Family Matters if you guys want to
Hmm.
see the inside. And also for you guys that are my members only, Friday we are doing a members only live. If you guys want to get on the members only live, it is $4.99. You guys can sign up at any time. You guys have access to the full library. We dropped this Portia tea almost a month and a half, 2 months ago, and all the details. This Friday, I'm going to be revealing who she was actually fighting with, the stuff with Dennis and Simon, and also like a lot of juicy tidbits. If you guys just want to talk, have a kiki and drag. We're
I
going to be
saw
dragging.
you dropped a short saying that she confirmed that there's no season 2.
Yes, Bravo actually confirmed. So there's been like, oh my God, it's reality TV gold, and it's 8 episodes. Bravo confirmed that at this point, there's no season 2. Now, I know a lot of people, and I point out myself, listen, this could change, right? Things always change with the ratings, but for whatever reason, they are not secure that the ratings are coming in. They have not secured, and they literally referred to it as the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Portia's Family Matters. That lets you know that it's a slight spinoff, right? They do this when it's always limited, and they refer to it as a limited series, a limited amount series which means this is just at season 1. So Portia is super dependent, and it's going to come down to views as to whether people actually watch the show. My prediction, her show is going to happen, and it has nothing to do with her, right? It could, but even if you take her out of it, even if she was still the beloved Portia before she started messing around with Fallon's ex-husband, she it's going to be viral memes. People are going to watch the fight, they're going to watch the memes, they're going to watch the tears, but let's see how many people actually tune in to Bravo to sit through the whole show.
He needs Bolo. Portia needs.
Now that I will watch. If Bolo paid for Portia's bachelorette party at Bolo, but you know what? When we see Simon's little fingers and his little hands, we see why she saw Bolo and was like, "Can I have some?" We see why she literally lit up on Bolo. All right, you guys, thank you.
Bolo. We all need Bolo.
Mel, Miriam, and to my good friend B, thank you so much for being the best and joining me on this live. All right, you guys, I will see everybody tomorrow. B, and thank you all.
Good night.
Everybody else for joining.